Good morning. Back from my weekly video. Certainly has been a very action-packed week. Last week I mentioned that I'd get back to you related to the impact of the Supreme Court, Michigan Supreme Court, striking down the governor's emergency powers. Well, it turns out that the immediate impact probably is pretty limited because the Department of Health and Human Services have basically reinstated most of her orders, and so the immediate impact looks like it's pretty limited. However, it's unknown what the long-term impact is because these orders are not forever. In fact, they expire on October 30th, and I suppose some more orders will have to be issued at that time. So the long-term impact is still a bit unknown. When you think about the governor, what's most important right now is not necessarily the emergency powers issue, but the threat on her life. The fact that she was, there was a plot to kidnap and possibly kill her, which is just astounding. It's almost unbelievable. And then to think that part of the rationale was because she closed gyms is just unthinkable. I am concerned that, in fact, I've spoken to several members of the Department of Health and Human Services of Michigan, and they're concerned that some of the attention will now be put on them. Because the orders are coming from the department rather than from the governor right now. And so they are justifiably concerned. And I just want to thank all the people from the Department of Health and Human Services, as well as the governor and her staff, for their continued efforts to keep us all safe. It's not an easy job that they're doing, and I want to let them know that I appreciate all their efforts. Locally also, the mayor, Mayor Duggan, as well as Denise Fair, the city's chief public health officer, have enacted local policies and orders that put in place many of the governor's executive orders. And so from a local perspective, there shouldn't be any changes at all. And certainly at Wayne State, there's absolutely no changes. We are continuing to do everything that we were doing prior to the Supreme Court decision. Everyone still has to wear their mask in public spaces. We still have to social distance, no large gatherings. Everything is as it was before, and I encourage everyone to continue to be tested at the health center. We want volunteers. We want to test as many people as possible. That's the way we're going to keep our campus safe. In terms of our campus, we're doing well, but in terms of Michigan, it's not so good right now, as well as nationally. Yeah, specifically in Michigan, the last 3 days of last week, I think it was the 7th, 8th, and 9th, each one of those days we had over 1,000 cases per day. And that's the highest 3-day average since April, and so that is very concerning. More locally in terms of our campus, I mentioned that we're doing fairly well. Our 3-day average is about 1.2 or 1.3 cases per day, so that's pretty good considering that our trigger metric on the 3-day average is greater than 15 cases per day. So we're doing well. On the other hand, one of the things that we are watching are the hospital bed availability. And hospitals are getting busier locally, and there are less beds available, both in terms of general beds as well as ICU beds. And so we're keeping a watch on that, and I think that that's just a reminder that that we're not out of the woods, and in fact, with flu season coming up, that we may have some challenges. So continue to be vigilant, continue to do everything that you're doing to keep us all safe. Let me just finish up with a little bit about the book I'm reading this week. It's actually one of the books that I will say is my all-time favorites. It's called The Tea Girl of Hummingbird Lane. And I mentioned last week that the book I had read before, Commonwealth, it was enjoyable, but I wasn't passionate about it. And part of the reason is I didn't learn anything. It didn't really transport me to a different time, a different culture, or any of those things. Well, this is different. It's set in China, but not only in China, but in the mountains, the hills of China, and it's goes into the customs of the hill tribe of a particular hill tribe in China. It's a girl who, in fact, the whole village survives on growing tea. This particular girl becomes pregnant because of certain issues. She had to leave her baby, a baby girl, on the doorsteps of an orphanage. This baby girl is adopted by an American family and moves to Los Angeles. The story then is really about two things. One, the baby girl growing up in Los Angeles, and she was given a tea cake in her box when she was left at the doorsteps of the orphanage, and she's somehow drawn to this, wanting to find out, where this tea cake came from and her own origins. And then back in China, the story of the mother and her evolution, so to speak, as she had a very challenged life, but then became a tea connoisseur, and apparently was very successful, at that, and also married very well in terms of a very rich person, and actually has a home in the United States also. I'm not far enough into it to know whether the baby and the mother find themselves, find each other, I should say. But it's a fascinating read, and the thing I like most about it, and I've come to realize that I'm partial to these type of novels, where there's either history involved, or culture, or something that you can learn from. And in this particular book, I'm learning a lot about the hill tribes of China, but also about tea, and I'm enjoying that. I'll finish it by next week, so I'll let you know whether the mother and the baby somehow meet each other. Until next week, stay safe.